There was once a 19-year-old named Jim. It is hard to know whether to call him a 19-year-old man or boy. Most days are almost identical for Jim, but today was the most important day he'd had since he moved away to college. Many things earlier made it a significant day, but the most significant event happened as Jim was about to leave his dorm's recreation center, also called a gym, when he heard the strangest noise. I'll start by explaining every way the day was different from every other day he'd had in the past few months. Around 5 in the morning, Jim was having a nightmare where he was desperately running away from something that was trying to kill him, but when he got far enough away from it, he forgot what he was running away from, or that he was running away from anything in the first place. Despite still feeling tired, he couldn't fall back asleep. It got weirder. Instead of his regular caramel hot coffee with cream and sugar, Jim decided to break the mold and get the seasonal peppermint latte he'd been considering getting for a while. After his 4th sip, he realized he really didn't like it and he threw it away. The feeling of lost money would linger in his mind for another hour. The abnormality of his day continued in class when he felt a silent fart coming. Jim normally has a pretty regular digestive system, but he let out a fart that was so wet and so powerful he was pretty sure that he shit his pants. While Jim was walking back from class, he noticed a fortune cookie in the middle of the sidewalk, as if it was placed there. It reads, "Don't run away from your fears, they will surely catch up to you." Jim knew that it was probably printed in some factory somewhere, but the connection that could be made with the fortune cookie and his nightmare was so obvious it made him question the importance of him seeing it. Even if the creation of it wasn't some spiritual thing, the coincidence that went into the fortune ending up right there and relating so specifically to him made him think about what his dream really meant and the significance of the fortune being there for him. When he got back to his dorm, Jim made himself a box of mac and cheese and planned to eat half now and save the rest for later. But he ended up eating so much that if he saved the rest, it wouldn't be enough for later, so he forced himself to eat the whole box. During a call with his mother, Jim was told that his dog had cancer. He was never particularly close with his dog. She always mainly followed his dad around and barked at him whenever he entered a room. But now that she was approaching her final year, he was overcome with intense feelings of grief that he never felt so sharply. There was a sudden flash of every happy moment he and the dog had ever shared together, and it was like she was already dead. He then realized something that is so obvious it never needs to be expressed, yet is impossible not to forget for most of the day. When Jim was using the bathroom, he checked his underwear and confirmed that he did, in fact, have streaks. There was another 19-year-old, much more of a man than Jim, whose day was exactly like every other day he'd had that month. He made a really silly noise that sounded to Jim like he was performing some workout-related joke to one of his friends. After a few seconds, Jim could see that the manly boy's muscles were tensed up and his face was a subtle purple color, and that the strange noise he was making to simulate a seizure was just the noise people make when they have seizures. Jim stood there for a moment as a crowd gathered around him, and an employee of the recreation center was running over frantically speaking into a walkie-talkie at a volume that Jim couldn't hear completely. The manly boy shook for long after Jim thought he should have stopped, and he could see blood was coming out of the man boy's mouth and dropping onto the floor, making a little puddle on the ground and his shorts. Jim left the gym, not really wanting to see how it ended up, and he really hoped that the guy was going to be okay.